Indiana Fever preseason has officially come, and it has officially gone.
The Indiana Fever did finish the WNBA preseason undefeated.
All right, folks, strap in, because what just happened in the WNBA preseason is absolutely wild. The Indiana Fever came to play, but it wasn't just a regular game. It was a full-on beatdown, and Caitlin Clark and Lexie Hull were the ones bringing the smoke.
When I watch the Fever, even when they're not at their best, one thing I can't help but think is that they're just going to run teams off the floor and destroy them with their firepower. They just have so many players that can beat you and can score. And, you know, Dewana Bonner didn't even start this game. Sophie Cunningham started.
Yup, you heard that right. These two didn't just show up. They came out swinging and completely destroyed the Atlanta Dream in what might be one of the most exciting preseason games we've seen in a while. If the Dream thought this was going to be a casual warm-up, they were dead wrong.
The Indiana Fever close out the preseason 3-0. Victory against the Mystics, victory against the Brazilian national team, and another victory this afternoon against the Atlanta Dream.
Let's talk about Caitlin Clark first, the rookie, the legend in the making. She's been hyped for months, and boy, did she live up to it. This wasn't just a solid first showing, this was an announcement. She made it crystal clear that she's not here to blend in, she's here to take over. Long threes, check, laser sharp passes, yup, speed, energy, confidence, all of it. She had the entire court on notice, and fans were eating it up. The moment she stepped on that floor, the vibe completely changed. But hold up, just when you thought Caitlin was stealing the show, in comes Lexie Hull. And let me tell you something, this girl snapped. She might not get the same headlines as Clark, but she sure played like a star. Her defense was on point, her shots were dropping, and she played with that quiet killer energy that just gets the job done. No flash, no hype, just buckets and hustle. Together, these two looked like they'd been playing together for years. The chemistry was real, the energy was high, and the Atlanta Dream, well, they were dreaming if they thought they could stop them. This wasn't a close game. This wasn't a back and forth battle. This was a clinic, and the Fever were the teachers. The Dream got run off the floor before they even knew what hit them. Social media went wild. Clips of Caitlin's step backs and Lexie's lockdown defense are already blowing up on Twitter, TikTok, and everywhere in between. Fans can't stop talking. Analysts are already making bold predictions. Some are even calling it a preview of the future of the WNBA. And honestly, they're not wrong. If this is what we're getting in the preseason, just imagine what's coming in the regular season. This might just be the Caitlin and Lexie era, and it started with a bang.
Darns it. So second attempt, same spot, same result for Maya Caldwell. That's Caitlin Clark, top of the key, and drains her first.
Stay tuned, because we're breaking it all down. Every angle, every highlight, every stat right now. Let's rewind for a second and set the stage. The game went down in Indiana, a packed arena full of fans buzzing with excitement. It wasn't just any preseason game. This was Caitlin Clark's first time stepping onto a WNBA court, and the energy in that building, electric. The Indiana Fever were hosting the Atlanta Dream, a team with young talent and big goals this season. But from the jump, you could tell this game was different. The crowd wasn't just there to watch, they were there to witness history, and the spotlight was clearly on one player, Caitlin Clark. Everyone's been waiting for this. After her record-breaking college run at Iowa, the hype around Caitlin was next level. People wanted to know, can she bring that same fire to the pros? Can she handle the pressure? Can she lead a WNBA team? Well, let's just say she answered all of that, and more. But this story isn't just about Caitlin. Enter Lexie Hull, the underrated, often overlooked guard who decided it was her time to shine. She may not have had all the cameras pointed at her before the game, but by the end of it, she had the crowd on their feet and the Dream on their heels. The Fever came into this game with a chip on their shoulder. After a rough last season, they had something to prove. New talent, new energy, and clearly new stars. The Atlanta Dream, on the other hand, came in confident but didn't look ready for the storm that hit them. This was more than just a game. This was a message, and that message was loud and clear. Indiana is coming, and they're coming strong. Let's break down exactly what Caitlin Clark did in her first WNBA preseason game, and why it felt less like a debut and more like a declaration. Right from the jump, Caitlin looked locked in. No jitters, no rookie nerves, just pure confidence. She ended the game with 21 points, 7 assists, and 3 rebounds, but the real story is how she controlled the game from the moment she touched the ball. She launched three-pointers like it was target practice, some of them from way beyond the arc. These weren't casual shots either. We're talking logo range threes, step backs, off the dribble, pure confidence on display. And what was her court vision? Next level. Caitlin didn't just score, she orchestrated. Her passes were fast, smart, and perfectly timed. Whether it was a no-look bullet pass to a cutting teammate or a quick dish in transition, she kept the Atlanta defense chasing shadows.
A headline.
There's no reason to overdo anything right now. It's been the beginning of the season. Still don't play here for another week, but the last 2 days have been really, really good for myself.
You know what started? What caused it to get her?
I don't. Probably just a little too much basketball. I think, I love being in the gym, but I think understanding when to be in the gym and, when to recover and things like that. So I think just finding a balance and obviously just getting back into the swing of things. But yeah, it was nothing major or anything like that.
And just when Atlanta thought they had her figured out, she hit them with a filthy crossover that left the defender reaching for air. One dribble pull-up later, splash. It wasn't just a good play, it was a highlight, a moment that screamed, "I belong here." And remember, this was her first game at the professional level. The pace is faster, the defense is tighter, the pressure is heavier, but Caitlin played like she's been here for years. She didn't wait to find her rhythm, she set the rhythm. Her performance wasn't just about scoring or passing, it was about commanding the floor. She showed leadership, composure, and the ability to shift momentum in her team's favor at any moment. By the end of the game, there was no doubt Caitlin Clark didn't just meet expectations, she surpassed them. While Caitlin Clark was lighting it up, Lexie Hull was making just as much noise, silently. She didn't need big celebrations or flashy moves. Her game spoke loud enough. Lexie ended the night with 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals. But what stood out was her efficiency. Every shot she took was smart, every movement purposeful, whether she was draining a corner 3 or cutting through traffic for a quick layup. She made her presence known without ever demanding attention. Her hustle was off the charts. She was the first to dive for loose balls, the first back on defense, and constantly disrupting Atlanta's flow. Her positioning was sharp, her footwork clean, and her awareness on both ends of the court was top tier. She played tough, smart, and relentlessly. And her defense, it was a problem for the Dream. She stayed glued to her matchup, anticipated passes, and read the floor like a seasoned vet. Those 3 steals weren't lucky, they were earned. While Clark was stretching the floor with deep shots and dazzling passes, Hull was making sure every possession counted. Her cuts opened up space. Her rebounds gave extra chances. Her defense shut down runs before they started. Together, they were a deadly combo. Clark with the star power and flash, Hull with the grit and grind. Lexie proved she's not just a role player, she's a key piece for the Fever. In a game where all eyes were on one rising star, Lexie Hull quietly built her spotlight through sheer effort and skill. Let's be real, Atlanta Dream looked completely lost in this game. From the first quarter, it was clear they were struggling to keep up with Indiana's pace. And once Caitlin Clark and Lexie Hull got going, it was like the Dream just couldn't catch a break. The biggest issue? Defense. Atlanta's rotations were sloppy, leaving shooters wide open, especially around the 3-point line. Caitlin was pulling up from deep with no one even close enough to contest. That's a problem. And when Lexie moved off the ball, there was zero communication. She'd cut to the basket and find herself all alone. How does that happen at this level? There were times Atlanta doubled Clark, which makes sense, but they did it late, and that gave Clark enough space to either shoot or find an open teammate. Hull was often the one benefiting from those breakdowns, knocking down shots, or slicing through the defense like a knife through butter. Even more painful to watch were the missed switches and slow closeouts. The Dream were always one step behind, and in the WNBA, one step is all a shooter needs. Indiana punished every mistake. Now let's talk coaching. Some of the rotations felt odd. Players who were struggling stayed in too long, while bench options who might have helped never saw the floor. There didn't seem to be a solid defensive game plan. Were they switching, playing zone? It looked like a confused mix of both. You could feel the frustration build. The team looked disorganized, the body language dipped, and even their star players seemed unsure of what to do next. It was like they came in expecting to play against a rookie version of Clark, and when she turned out to be the real deal, they had no plan B. To sum it up, poor defensive effort, lack of communication, and questionable coaching decisions turned this game into a complete nightmare for Atlanta. This wasn't just a loss, it was a wake-up call. If you thought the action on the court was wild, just wait till you see what went down down online. The internet went insane after the game. Twitter/X was flooded with highlight clips of Caitlin Clark pulling up from deep and Lexie Hull dropping buckets like a silent assassin. Hashtags like WNBA and FEVERUP were trending within minutes of the game ending. Fans were hyped, and they weren't holding back. Meanwhile, over on Reddit, Fever fans were celebrating like it was a playoff win. Threads broke down every play, praising Clark's vision and Hull's defense. A few even joked that Atlanta should have just stayed home.
Coach just mentioned you've been limited in practice this week. Just how are you kind of working back from that leg injury?
Yeah, I think taking my time. I feel really good, honestly, and excited to get out there and play again tomorrow, work on things that we need to work on, and yeah, Maria's been great. Our medical staff's been really helpful, but I feel really good, honestly.
On Instagram, fan pages were posting slick edits of Caitlin hitting logo threes, and Lexie's hustle plays were turned into short reels with dramatic music. The hype was real. Even neutral fans were tuning in, saying this might be the most exciting WNBA rookie debut in years. And of course, the memes rolled in fast. The media didn't stay quiet either. ESPN, Bleacher Report, and even non-sports outlets like BuzzFeed jumped in with headlines. It was a full-on internet explosion, and honestly, deserved. This game didn't just belong to Indiana, it belonged to the timeline too. This game wasn't just a preseason win, it was a major moment for the Indiana Fever and the WNBA as a whole. Let's break it down. First off, the Indiana Fever now have serious momentum heading into the regular season, with Caitlin Clark running the floor and Lexie Hull finding her rhythm. This team looks nothing like last year. Their energy, spacing, and chemistry were on full display, and if this is how they start, imagine what they'll look like mid-season. Fans are excited, and the Fever suddenly don't look like underdogs anymore. They look like a problem for every other team. Now let's zoom out. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player, she's a phenomenon. Her debut didn't just light up the scoreboard, it lit up the entire league. Since she entered the scene, WNBA viewership has spiked, ticket sales have jumped, and social media engagement is through the roof. Even preseason games, yeah, PRE season, are selling out. That's unheard of. But when is Clark playing? People show up. Lexie Hull, on the other hand, just became a fan favorite overnight. She might not have the spotlight like Caitlin, but her hustle, sharpshooting, and grit are making waves. Every team needs a glue player, and Hull is showing she can be that and more. What we're witnessing here is bigger than basketball. It's a cultural shift. Women's basketball is no longer a niche conversation. It's front page news. People are debating plays, sharing highlights, and talking WNBA with real excitement, and the Fever are leading that charge.
I don't think so. She was in there getting in a cold tub, so she keeps saying I'll be fine, so I trust her.
Despite these moments of tension and concern, the game also featured remarkable displays of sportsmanship that remind us what makes certain teams special. Before and after the final buzzer, players from both teams shared genuine moments of respect. Hugs and conversations between competitors showed that fierce competition on the court doesn't prevent real connection off it. One particularly meaningful exchange caught on camera.
Merch sales, upper, ticket prices, climbing, engagement, sky high. This league is having a moment, and it's only the beginning. And what's the best part? It's not just hype. The talent is real. The competition is fierce. And with players like Clark and Hull stepping up early, this season could go down as one of the most exciting ever. So yeah, one preseason win isn't a championship, but it's a signal that things are changing fast. For the Fever, for the fans, for the future of the WNBA. Of course, not everyone's thrilled. After the game, you could already hear the classic line. Relax, it's just preseason. And yeah, technically it is, but that doesn't mean it didn't matter. Great players don't wait for big moments, they create them. And that's exactly what Caitlin Clark and Lexie Hull did. Some folks are already doubting Caitlin's long-term potential, saying she's overhyped or won't last in the league. But let's be real, those takes sound more like fear than facts. Because if you watched that game, you saw a player who was calm, confident, and completely in control. Then there are the people screaming, it's one game. Sure, but one game was all it took for Clark to prove she belongs. Greatness doesn't wait. It shows up early, often, loudly. So to the haters, keep doubting, because Caitlin Clark doesn't need your approval. She's already making history. And Lexie Hull, she's not just tagging along. She's earning her spot every step of the way. Let them talk. The game is speaking louder. Caitlin Clark and Lexie Hull didn't just show up. They made a statement. This wasn't just some random preseason game. This was a warning shot to the entire WNBA. The Indiana Fever are not here to play around this year. They're here to compete, dominate, and shake things up. Clark showed us why the hype is real. Her court vision, her shooting, her leadership, it's all next level. And Lexie Hull, she proved she's not just a role player, she's a key piece of this team. The chemistry between them was electric, and if this is what we're getting in preseason, then the regular season is about to be wild. To all the real WNBA fans out there, you saw what went down. You know this was special, and to the doubters, you might want to keep your seats because it looks like Caitlin and Lexie are just getting warmed up. So now the big question, was this just a fluke? Or are we witnessing the beginning of a full-on WNBA takeover? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Are the Fever legit contenders this season? Is Caitlin already changing the league? Drop your thoughts. We're talking all things real here. If you're loving the energy, loving the insight, and want to keep up with the biggest stories in women's basketball, you know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss a single update. This is just the beginning. Let's ride this wave together.